today and the same sort of metrics that we're measuring the impacts of COVID. But in response to your question, I think that our job is to recommend management measures to the IPHC. I don't think it's the IPHC's job to alter the options that we gave them because they have some insight into anything that we're doing with the domestic management of halibut. I think that if we want to change the rules because we think that everyone's taken the vaccine and there's a good path forward and we think that we're going to have normal harvest, then we should have an emergency meeting here, use our data, use our public, transparent process with these people on this screen to make that decision. I think asking the IPHC to maybe change it a little bit is a complete deviation from what we normally do, and that is our job to do, not theirs. So I think they can take what we give them, they can apply the necessary changes to it, and if the conditions change, then it's our job to initiate an emergency action and make that change. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair. I didn't intend to describe the process differently than we used before, so that's how I would see that working if that was ever necessary. Thank you.
Thanks, Kimball. Further questions? Okay, we'll open it up for amendments. Mr. Jensen, that's an old hand up, I take it. All right, any comments on the motion?
The accidental hand, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Dr. Balsiger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I think it's kind of a novel approach. Spent some time thinking about this COVID buffer and seeing how that will go through the process, but I think it's well thought out. So I appreciate the motion from Mr. Mesereau, and I'll be supporting this. And of course, every year it's the same. We don't really know what number we're shooting for, so the ability of Mr. Mesereau and the Fish and Game to come through the suite of measures that will respond what we expect the Halibut Commission will do, but we're uncertain is good. So that's a lot of good work, and I appreciate the motion and for it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Dr. Balsiger. Ms. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I also would like to thank Mr. Mesereau, the Charter Halibut Management Committee, and particularly the ADFNG staff, Sarah in particular, for helping us get to this point. I really appreciate the proactive nature that you took this year because, as we've said, as many people have said, there's a lot of uncertainty involved. And we've never really done anything like this with respect to charter halibut management measures. And so, although, again, it's a bit of uncharted territory in terms of the COVID impacts buffer, I was reminded in testimony, Mr. Martin, I believe, the pretty remarkable job that the recommended management measures for emergency implementation this year did in projecting how we would end up in terms of charter harvest. So I am also reminded, kind of in response to the discussion and in response to some questions on the motion, in terms of do we want to do this now in a proactive manner in terms of anticipating COVID impacts, or maybe think about, again, some sort of mid-season action to address this. It's just recalling I've worked on charter halibut management measures for a while, and one of the guiding principles for charter halibut management in Alaska was to minimize in-season management changes to provide stability to the fleet. And so I really agree with the sentiment that we're using the best available information that we have at this point in time to project charter harvest for the circumstances that we'll be facing in 2021. And so that's why I'm supportive of again, using this proactive approach with the buffer right now, and if necessary, if things turn out substantially different than we anticipate, there is, of course, the opportunity for the council to take subsequent action sometime during 2021. But So again, just thank you very much, Mr. Mesereau. I'll be supporting your motion and appreciate all the work that went into this.
Thanks, Ms. Baker. Mr. Twite.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mesereau, thank you for the motion. I support it. I would like to just briefly recognize the leadership of the chartered halibut industry as it appeared in front of us today. This is a very tough time to be a leader in an industry when your industry is undergoing this level of economic turmoil. I think there's a fair number of other leaders out there of other segments of industry who probably feel that too. And what we heard from them was constructive, was positive, and both in terms of acknowledging what we did for them this last year, which was not normal, as well as in just taking a sober look forward and providing a constructive path. And that kind of leadership is I think, really essential in these kinds of essentially crisis times, and I appreciated it.
Thank you, Mr. Twite. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised, so I think we're probably ready to vote. Thank you again for your motion, Mr. Mesereau. Mr. Witherell, it's a halibut action, so we're not required to do a roll call, but I think we typically do. So call the roll.
Okay. Calling the roll on motion for 2021 charter halibut measures. Dr. Balthuger.
Yes.
Ms. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Cross.
Yes.
Mr. Down.
Yes.
Mr. Jensen.
Yes.
Ms. Kimball.
Yes.
Mr. Marks.
Yes.
Mr. Mesereau.
Yes.
Mr. Twite.
Yes.
Mr. Caneen.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Witherell. Any further action on C1? Hey. Well, great. That concludes our business for the week. Thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend, and see you bright and early Monday morning. Thank you.
Have a great weekend,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Yep. Bye.
See you Monday.
Have a good weekend, all. Stay safe.
The meeting is now over. All the participants have been disconnected.